So you ended up writing a book, okay? So tell me about your book and tell me why you did it, why you wrote a book. I mean,
so you know, in my career, okay, every day, you know, you were running at 100 miles an hour. Okay. I might get a call from Daniel at 10 o'clock at night after I've worked 12. And so it was like nonstop. And like I said, I've always had a high energy level. So I loved all of that. Okay. But then, so when I left my role in the company, it wasn't a transition. Okay. I'm an all in, all out kind of guy. Okay. And so when I was in the company, I never thought about for 1 second what I was going to do when I left the company, because I felt like that was wasted energy and I was taken away from my teammates and the folks that worked for me, that I had to be totally focused on what I was doing. Okay. But then at the end of each year, I always sort of, between Christmas and New Year's, I'd always take some time off and I would reflect. And I always wanted to make sure before the next year happened that I was 100% in. And in December of 2017, for the first time in my life, I realized that it was time. Okay. That I think at the time I was 62 years old. I'm 64 now. Okay. And so the company was doing great. Okay. And I knew how I was wired. If the company wasn't doing good, you know, you couldn't leave because you had to fight to the death. Okay. The company was doing great. Okay. And I had, in fact, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago, I wrote on a sheet of paper what my financial independence number was. And I hit that number, and that I had the people who worked for me were ready to take on new responsibilities and their opportunities. And it was one of those choices where I didn't want to be Steve Spurrier. I don't know if you know Steve Spurrier. He was a very successful coach at the, everything SEC football sort of, I live in, but so the University of Florida had a coach, Steve Spurrier. He was a great coach, and he retired from Florida and eventually wound up coaching at South Carolina, and that he did an unbelievable job at South Carolina. But to me, it seemed like he stayed 2 years too long. Okay. And so I wanted to leave on my terms at the peak of my game. Now we can say that my peak was only this high, but that I didn't want for them to say, well, we're going to figure out what we're going to have to do with chess, and we got to give him less responsibility or get him out of there. And so I wanted to go out on, where I felt like things were going great. And so I could have worked longer. I could have, but that it was time to see what the next phase of life had to offer. And so, and it's one of those things where when I left the company, I had to sort of totally withdraw. Okay. Because you don't want, if all you do is think about what you had and missing what you used to do and all that kind of stuff. I mean, when you make a decision to move forward, you got to move into the next phase of your life. And so that's what I did. And so for the first time in my life, I wake up and I got the freedom of time. Okay. And so, anyway, I was in a very reflective mode. Okay. So I was happy as I could be. I was excited about freedom of time, but at the same time, I didn't want to waste this next phase of my life. Okay. And so I began to think about the things that I felt like helped me in my career and my life to the point when I retired. Okay. And so that's when I started for the first, and now I've never written anything in my life. I've never, when I went to college, I never wrote a term paper. Okay. If you sent me, I bet you don't have an email where I sent you a long response. I bet if you ever sent me an email, I bet you it said, give me a call or let's discuss or something like that, but then you wake up one day and I just started handwriting my thoughts on why I had some success in the first part of my career. And then after about 2 or 3 weeks, I felt like I had that maybe I had a couple of chapters for a book. And so Monica Lewis, who's a lady that worked at the company, who is unbelievable in her own right. She's a tremendous writer, editor, and just super, she was always the person that I went to if I needed something written, she would help write it. Okay. And so I sent what I had to her. She's, she retired a little before I did. And I said, look at this and tell me what you think. And she said, I think you're onto something. Keep writing. I'll help you get this in an electronic format. I couldn't even type, Daniel. Okay. And still don't, but at some point I felt like I had a book. Okay. And so I never set out to write a book. I never dreamed of writing a book. I felt at a certain point that I was led to write the book and to get it published. And so the good news is that while, you probably can't, you can argue about how talented I am, but I am persistent. So I wasn't going to, at the point that I decided I was going to do this, I was going to see it through to the end and make sure that book got published.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
And so Monica helped me tremendously. So I kept writing. And then finally I got to a point where I said, I can't ask Monica to continue to do what she's doing. And that I found a publisher and I thought I had a book. Okay. And they said, well, we're willing to work with you. Okay. But you got to double the word count in the book. And so, as you know, the book's only 165 pages. And so, I believe in brevity. I believe in getting to the point. And so, but that I do think I had tremendous editorial support from my publisher, who said, hey, here's where you need to expound on this. You need to tell this story in a different way. And so I do feel good about the book that I've written. I do believe it's a good book. And I think I wrote it for the right reasons, because I wrote it to give something back to others and to, what I want people to do is to read the book, not for me to tell them what to do or think, but to give them things that they need to think about.
Thank you for watching our short clips on Alonzo Academy. If you'd like to watch the next short clip, click here. If you'd like to watch the entire podcast, click here.